Now, I'm here with Kathleen Dunne from Rathangan. Kathleen Coffey lives up the Kildare Road all her life. Isn't that right, Kathleen?
That's right.
It is indeed. And still
Didn't
living
move
here.
very far, Aideen.
No, indeed. So, and she was a local librarian for years when the library was in New Street. And but I'll let Kathleen talk about her memories of Rathangan. And she has a little piece written out, of course, and her talk away about her little memories of what her life and life and times from her youth to now in Rathangan.
I was born in 1949, and growing up in Rathangan was an extraordinary privilege, only to be realised in maturity, looking back. The deep sense of place was a great grounding for later life. Freedom really was our privilege. The days were not long enough for us. We were outdoor from dawn till dusk. The word bored or tired had not yet been invented. Every day was an adventure. We roamed the canal and river bank. Yet a close eye was kept on us. Anyone's parents could give you a telling off and send us on our way. Jobs were an integral part of our lives. We walked miles to get messages for neighbours, and if we got wind of a new baby arriving, we'd all be round to wheel the pram. Now wakes were another thing. We were full of imagination, and often thought the corpse was moving. However, it did not stop us from eating the cakes and sandwiches provided for the mourners. Wintertime had its own magic, making slides and snowball fights. Hunger was often kept at bay by stealing a few apples from someone's orchard. My friend Mag and I were in everyone's wedding photos, mostly looking like bedraggled extras. Good clothes were for Sundays. When the schools released us for our summer holidays, our mothers pumped up our bikes and we were dispatched to the bog. Everyone conferred as to what was being put on the sandwiches, so we swapped and had a variety. Corned beef won, hands down. 6p was returned to us from our bog money for Harry Mack's picture house. What joy to escape down there. Just imagine 1950s, 60s in a rural village, and to have such a choice of entertainment. A cinema, a dance hall, lots of drama, or plays as we call them. A travelling roadshow came once a year. Now that was something else. Fabulously handsome men like Clark Gable and beautiful, colourful women would emerge from the caravans on the riverbank. My imagination often got out of control, and I was convinced I was in Hollywood. I sang at the matinee one Sunday and won a ticket for the night performance. Alas, by the time I had cajoled my mother for permission to go, the good was gone out of it. The Board of workers who came here in the 50s had a huge influence on the cultural life here. They brought their songs and stories with them. I always thought Valentia Island sounded so exotic. We just knew we were more cultural than the neighbouring towns. After all, hadn't we a poet and a writer born here? To be allowed downtown was the ultimate treat. We were warned to keep moving, no sitting on windowsills with the corner boys. We devised our own way around that rule. We walked to school winter and summer, and to have a coloured rain mac was a much coveted piece of clothing. Anything made in cookery class was quickly demolished on Burrell's Wall on our way home from school. Many's the clip on the ear I got for not bringing home the goods. After all, I had made such a fuss about the ingredients. Sheep were sheared in the river at Hanks's Mill in early summer, so that was another excuse to stay out. One group of girls, of which I was one, sailed across the chapel yard, 4 to a bike, and into the same river. The nuns were watching from the convent and were waiting with my mother when I got up from school. When we began to notice the lads coming from the bog, we wouldn't cycle through the town with dirt on our faces, so we would cycle round by the mill bridge. I hope all the children who live here now will appreciate their town and be as happy growing up as we were.
That was a lovely piece, Kathleen. Thank you very much. Great memories from the village here in Rathangan. Now, just a little more about yourself and your life as the librarian, a local librarian there for years in Rathangan, mainly down in New Street, wasn't it?
From New Street, the old library as we called it, and I started there in 1981.
Right.
I thought it was 83, but it's 81. And I think on the day, my knowledge of Maura Laverty and the scenario around her book that was banned, my knowledge on that may have swung the interview.
Right.
But I can say from the time I opened that door in the morning for 36 years, I was so happy. I loved books always, and I like to think that I could have changed some child's life maybe by making them interested in books and reading and writing. And it was never, I was never bored, not one day. I lived for it really, it was my life. But in the 1st of February, 5 years ago, I decided that the time had come to give it to a more energetic person. And no, I've never looked back. My interests have sustained me still. I'm still very interested in reading and history and all sorts of other activities.
And us as locals have great memories of you, Kathleen, certainly as well in the library.
Thank you.
And it's certainly always very welcoming and great set of knowledge going in there with books and stuff like that.
Well, I think the young children in the old library thought I owned the library.
Yes.
Books and all.
That's true.
I just came as part of the furniture, really.
That's true.
Yes.
And the library. The
well.
library and Kathleen, it just went hand in hand.
I didn't always abide by the rules, but we enjoyed ourselves and we did love what we did.
Yeah. Well, listen, thank you for all your memories of Rathangan. It was lovely speaking to you today. All right.
Thank you, Aideen.
Okay, you're welcome indeed.